Today on Clubhouse Gas, we're going to explore a couple of topics that have been kind of hot spots on the message boards. The first being how to work with your kids if they're scared of the ball. If you've got a kid getting in the batter's box and he's scared of the baseball, scared of getting hit, a girl in fast pitch softball, she's scared of getting hit, what can you do to get into their head and help them get over that fear? And then secondly, what do you, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 ADD, severely ADD kids on your team? In today's day and age, it seems like everywhere you go, you got some ADD kids like me. How do you get them to pay attention in practice? Well, we've got a young lady who specializes in sports psychology, and she's worked with several even collegiate athletes and collegiate teams on some of these specific issues. And she's going to join us today. Her name's Chrissy Rapp, and she's going to explore these topics with us. It's going to be quite interesting, so stay tuned to Clubhouse Gas. We're fortunate enough to be joined by Chrissy Rapp. Chrissy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, your specialty is sports psychology, and you work a lot with kids, and you worked at Georgia Southern University with the softball team and some football players.
Right.
What we want to talk about first off is some drills that coaches can go over with their kids, or even parents can do with their children who are players who might be having some issues with, say, being afraid of the ball. That seems to be, at a younger age, something that's very difficult for kids to get over their fear of getting hit by a pitch.
Right.
What are some things that parents or coaches can do with their kids to help their child or their player overcome their fear of getting hit by a pitch?
The big thing that comes to mind when I hear of issues such as this, and it could be from college players in addition to youth athletes, beginner players, is the use of imagery. And when I say imagery, it's pretty simple. It's really just imagining yourself doing the task that you want to do successfully. So if you have this kid who's working on confidently having an at-bat, going up there and hitting the ball, then you just ask them, what do they want to happen, first of all? What is your ideal situation? Well, I get up there and I hit a good pitch and I get on base. Pretty simple. Well, you just keep referring to that situation with them, have them get very familiar with it. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What are the emotions in your body? Make it as realistic as possible, and then just have them continuously or regularly have that image in their mind. So instead of putting their energy into only being worried and seeing themselves getting hit, instead put that energy on the situation that you really want to occur. And the neat thing about it is that the mind doesn't differentiate between an imagined or an envisioned image and reality. The same way that if you're starting to fall asleep and you imagine something and your body reacts, right. It's the same situation. Your body thinks it's really happening. So if you can get as many positive mental reps as you can, then you're more likely to just gain confidence. In addition, it also actually gives some muscle memory. Imagery is really being looked at as far as cancer therapy and different things like that. Just the power of the mind and connection with the body. So imagery, I mean, that was a complex situation with the cancer, but even on the simplest level of going up there and having a good at-bat or a ground ball or catching a pop-up in the outfield without getting hit. Imagery is a tool that coaches can easily work on with kids, coaches, parents, and they can likely see some success with that.
Well, take me through, let's imagine that I'm afraid of the ball. I'm no longer afraid of the ball, but at one point I'm sure that I was afraid of getting hit by a pitch. Now I'm only afraid of leprechauns and spiders. And E.T., but we won't get into that. You want me to imagine my favorite player.
Right.
So we'll say Dale Murphy's my favorite player, which happens to be true. And I'm imagining Dale Murphy hit the baseball. Now, do I get a bat and stand in a box, or do I do it sitting on the couch? Take me through what you would do as my coach with me.
First of all, I'd ask you, what does he look like when he's up there? How is his body language? What does Dale Murphy look like to you?
He looks confident.
Okay.
He looks like he knows what he's doing, and he's confident, and he's comfortable.
Okay. I would take that situation and I would ask you to see yourself that way. See yourself holding your bat in your uniform with your cleats on. Make it very specific to you. Ask you to tell me the different emotions that you feel, really make it realistic. And then just imagine yourself seeing a ball coming in and hitting it.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
Yeah, close your eyes. You don't really need the bat. We can do it sitting here on the couch. Just seeing yourself go through it whenever you have a couple minutes in a day. The big thing is that consistency that needs to kick in. So you need to try to work this maybe once a day, 5 minutes. You know, if you're going to practice, driving to practice, or if you're coming back from practice, that you put that attention into those mental reps that I talked about, just to see yourself having a positive outcome. Because at the youth level, it's not going to happen every time. You're going to have those days where you can walk away and only see the negatives, but the key is to get those positive images and see them as much as possible to foster that confidence that we want, that'll carry into later years.
And once the child learns how to do it, they can, when they have 5 minutes on the bus, or they're riding home from school, or they're sitting at lunch or whatever, they can sit there and do it themselves.
Exactly. And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good, especially when you're having ups and downs, trial and error, getting hit by a pitch every now and then. So
let's talk about one more thing before we go. For us on the message boards, one of the big things we're seeing is problems that coaches are having with kids who are ADD, and they're having a hard time keeping their attention. And we're hearing from a lot of coaches, they got 3 or 4 or 5 kids on their team, but they just can't keep their attention. Is there something that coaches can do, some exercises they can do, or maybe some techniques to keep those kids' attention and get the most they can get out of those players?
One major technique that can be implemented with ADD kids, as well as just your general athlete, is the implementation of performance routines, which means that you are systematically and purposefully doing a couple things between each play. Because in any sport, between 80 to 90% of the time, you're not even really engaging, but you're thinking, you're reacting, you're planning. So that's a lot of time for your mind to wander, especially with youth kids and with coaches trying to instruct, get you in the right place. There's a lot of downtime. And if each kid has a checklist for his or her position, then they can go through A, B, C, and it helps them with that downtime to refocus for the next pitch, or the next shot, or the next serve in tennis, whatever it might be. And it kind of gives them something, again, to focus their energy on, instead of mom and dad in the stands or the bug that's crawling by their feet. You know, so it helps them. Say there's a shortstop, and a simple 3-letter system that we use is CPT. And what it stands for is control, plan, and trust. With the first step being control. You can only control yourself. So you make sure that you're calm and your gloves on, you're ready to go. And then plan being, run through your head what the situation is. So if I'm playing shortstop and there's a runner on first, my plan is, okay, grounder, I'm going to second. Maybe if I bobble it, go to first. Simple. Right. And then you just trust is the last step, to where you get out of the mental focus and you just focus on the pitch. So you trust and you just let all of your thinking go, and then you just trust yourself to deal with what's happening in front of you. So it's simple. It can be modified for different players, for different sports, but it gives them some accountability and kind of a little ritual to run through, instead of just being surprised when there's a hit when it's coming at them. So.
All right. Well, Chrissy, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us. If you have a question, you want to discuss these topics, or maybe you've even tried some of these techniques with your team and want to talk about how successful or even unsuccessful they have been, go to our message board, start a post, or reply to one. That's going to do it for us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Clubhouse Gas.